What's good, everybody? It's your boy Everton, and today we're talking about Mint Mobile in a video that I hope I would never have to make. Now, guys, I've been a very big fan of Mint Mobile. They do a lot of things right, but I think what my experience that happened to me was definitely not positive, right? It was embarrassing for me a little bit, and not only that, after I sat down and thought about it, there were many opportunities for Mint Mobile to actually, be a little bit more proactive in this policy. So I'm going to talk to you guys about it today because it's definitely not something that's specific to me. It can happen to anybody, and it's something that people should be aware of if they're thinking about switching to Mint Mobile. And it was so annoying to me that I actually was questioning if I'm with the right carrier. Now, I'm still with Mint Mobile. I did re-up for a year, and I'm gonna, it only happened to me one time, so I'm not gonna jump ship yet. But I do think that eventually, I may have to make a decision if no changes occur, right? And so let's go ahead and talk about what actually happened, right? So I've been with Mint Mobile since October. So, and I had the 3-month plan. Then I re-up for an entire year starting January, right? And January 8th is when my cycle actually, my billing cycle actually starts on my plan cycle. January was a hectic month at my job, even December until January. And I'm at work from home, so I use my cell phone to communicate with people. And, I was on the phone a lot that month. So one time I was on the phone and the call just abruptly ended towards the end of January. So I'm like, okay, drop calls happen. That doesn't happen a lot, but I can deal with it. So I tried to call the individual back I was on the phone with at work, and the phone basically went routed to Mint Mobile. And I was like, okay, and it said that the automated voice said I needed to make a payment. So I was like, okay, I tried again. Thought it might have been a fluke, because the reason why I think is because you have to pay in bulk, right? I was in the middle of my billing cycle, and not only that, my credits, my referral credits that I use, which if you guys want to actually sign up for Mint Mobile, you guys can look in the description. There's a link for it. If this video doesn't scare you off, but yeah, Mint Mobile, I have enough referral credits to that paid me up for the next 2 years. So I'm like, I shouldn't have any issue with billing. I paid for an entire year with the credits. So after I resolved my issue at work by using my Google Voice line to resolve the issue, I called Mint Mobile. After troubleshooting, they didn't know exactly what was wrong at first, right? They did some testing and things like that. And after 5 minutes, 10 minutes on the phone with them, they're like, okay, I believe I know what's happening. You've hit your minute limit for the month, right? Anytime they use a lot of minutes in 1 month, which I later found out was 10,000 minutes on a different call, but we'll get into that later. If you use 10,000 minutes in 1 month, what happens is the service actually cuts you off, and then you have to speak to them, and they'll reset you, right? So I was like, okay, I got to get back to work. I don't really have a lot of time right now. First time it's ever happened in 4 months. It's not really a big deal. And 2 days later, within the same billing cycle, my phone cuts off again. And I'm like, well, what is the problem? So I call back, and I get a guy. He's really nice, really, really positive. And I was like, hey, I think I ran into the same issue 2 days ago. Why is this occurring again? She said she reset me. So he's trying different things to figure out if this is really my issue. And then so he's telling me hey, can I call you back on this number? I'm like, how? I can't get phone calls on this number. You know what I mean? So essentially, after everything, he tells me that, hey, there is a 10,000 minute limitation. All you have to do if this happens is call back in. They will reset you, and the plan will, you'll be able to have minutes. I was like, I did that 2 days ago. Why? I thought I was reset with 10,000 more minutes. They said, oh no, that's not how it works. It prorates based on where you're at within your cycle. So if I was supposed to, let's say, have 600 minutes remaining from my billing cycle, I would then have to, I can only speak for the next 3 days or 4 days or however many days for 600 minutes or 300 minutes, whatever it is, and then it'll be cut off again. So I was like, dude, how can I avoid this happening? Because I use my phone for work, and this is very inconveniencing. And he said there is no way to stop it, right? It's just something that automatically happens. So I said, okay, understood. Here's the biggest issue with Mint Mobile and this service here, or this policy really. It's not so much that the policy exists, it's that there aren't any there is no way for you to know, number one, that this policy exists. Number two, they don't allow you to track your phone call usage on the app. It's not on the web. It's not on the login pay for the website. They don't give you the data. And number three was that, well, customer service didn't really know. I had to kind of like troubleshoot and tell them what's going on, even like for them to even know what the problem was, right? So they like when you call in, I'm assuming that they wouldn't be able to see your restriction. There's a restriction on the account that you had to kind of like feed them information to feel like, oh, that's what's going on. Like, I think they could do a better job with transparency, right? So this is what I would like to have happen. I don't even mind that this policy exists. I get it. Maybe someone is using the phone exuberantly. And I'm not sure if I actually said this or not, but if it's 10,000 minutes, it means that you can speak in a 30-day period for 166 hours and a half an hour, right? A little bit more than half an hour. That boils down to about 5.5 hours a day if you spoke on the phone every day. Now, while I agree that that is a lot of time to be talking on the phone, it's not like it's something that you can never do. And it doesn't seem like it's something that would identify abuse. It seems like it's a very hittable target if you have like a very high volume call volume month. I actually even asked them about it on Twitter, and they said, and if I was like, hey, if I use Wi-Fi calling, do the minutes still count towards the 10,000 minute cap? Because I'm not technically using your service, I'm using my own Wi-Fi, and they're like, yep, it still counts towards it. I'm like, dude, there's nothing you can do to avoid this cap that exists that you're not telling anybody about, and you're not giving us the proper like information to know where we are. It's not on the website and it's not on the app as far as how many minutes that you've used. I love analogies. So think of it like this: you're in a city, and then you don't see, you know, when you enter the city, there were in the prior city there was a 45 mile per hour speed limit. So you're assuming that when you enter this city, it's gonna stay the same. Then a cop pulls you over and says, hey, you're speeding. And you're like, oh, well, what was I going? Well, it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit here. You're like, oh, I didn't see any signs. Nope, there aren't any signs. You know, where'd you know? There's no signs. There's nothing telling you that you could be penalized or at the very minor inconvenience for breaking, you know, some type of internal restriction policy. Now, fortunately, I've actually found an app called, I think it's called Call Analyzer. I'll actually link it down below, but it basically tells you like how many minutes you've used on your phone since like a certain specific date to another date. So I found that, but it's not like a totally non-hittable mark. Now, the reason why I say that, well, man, it had me questioning if I could really use this phone is, number one, it was embarrassing. Like, this is my work line for the time being because I work from home. People do need to get in contact with me. Very embarrassing that actually happened. Secondly, if you work, like, let's just say you don't have a 9-to-5 job. Let's just say you have a business, and that business, money means money's calling. And if that ever happened to you, a client you'll never know that you missed a call, number one. Number two, you missed potentially that business. You know what I mean? Like, and that is not a good look. You know what I mean? So yeah, a couple things I want to clear up. If this happens to you, number one, all your other services will work. So your data will still be intact, so will texting, etc. It's just that you won't be able to make calls. Secondly, you may have to like coach customer care because it's not something that they can immediately identify. It doesn't show that you have a restriction on your account or some type of limitation. All it does is, you kind of have to kind of describe what's going on. They'll troubleshoot it, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just more time that's being wasted that you could get back to your daily routine. When I spoke to customer care, they told me like, oh, I was like, oh, this is very inconveniencing. They said, oh, it's not really a big deal. Just call us back. We'll reset it. We have no problem with that. So number one, your customer service isn't open 24/7. It's open from 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What happens if I hit that 10,000 mark at that point in time? Just have to wait till the next day. If I have an emergency or something like that, I'd be really inconvenienced. It's fine to have protective barriers so that people don't abuse your service. I get that all day long, but at the same time, like, give us the information that we need so that we can avoid being abusive if you find that that's abusive in your mind. It really let me think about this service, and you know, it was embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie. So I think that Mint Mobile does have an opportunity to fix that. And once again, guys, I mean, Mint Mobile, I'm talking to you directly. Just give us the amount of minutes that we use within a month. I shouldn't have to go get an extra app. Like, this is information that you definitely track because you're cutting people off at 10,000 minutes. I think it's an opportunity. Now, granted, guys, it only happened to me one time, but I think it was just inconvenient enough to leave a real damper. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think. And actually, let me know how much you guys actually use your cell phone service within a given, like, 30-day period. Do you guys talk on the phone? I mean, I know talking on the phone is not really a hip thing to do these days, but at the end of the day, guys, I mean, I still do it for my job. So let me know. But either way, guys, just want to give you guys that update. And until next time, I'm Everton, and I do videos Everton's way. Peace.